What is up, guys? Welcome back. And today I'm going to do a little post. I'm going to do a little reading. We're going to catch a vibe here because, as I said in my last video, these posts are phenomenal reminders. Sometimes I'm like, do I really want to read a Neville post? And then I'm like, snap back into my senses. I'm like, I don't care what people think. If people think, oh, it's not an original post. Okay, yeah, it's not completely an original video, but me going in, first off, just even reading a post is very, very, very helpful for myself personally. It gets me into a state where I'm reminded of all the reasons why I even have this channel to begin with, why I even started this channel, is because this has to be reminded. We have to remind ourselves of these things on a continuous basis. It is very, very easy for the human mind to get complacent. We have some successes, we have this. I don't need to do this. I don't need to work on this anymore. It's like the same thing with our diet, the same thing with our habits in the gym or lack thereof is like, oh yeah, once we have momentum, it's easy. But it's like we skip a day. We're like, oh yeah, it'll be good. I'll hit it up next week. I'll hit my workout up next week. And sooner or later, you find that you haven't been to the gym in over a month, maybe 2 months gone by. The same thing goes with anything in life. It's like our habits are what make us. And if we're not reminding ourselves of these things, if we don't have a time where we go into the mental gym of the mind to essentially illustrate and narrate this story for us that we are telling ourselves, then what are we really doing? We're really no better than the lower life forms, which, they eat, breathe, sleep, and shit. And they're beautiful creatures. Don't get me wrong. I'm looking at a squirrel out here right now. But what kind of authority and autonomy does he really have? He's just simply grasped onto his instinctual animal nature. And unfortunately, that's what we do too. We're not much better than the ant that is walking around in a single file line and picks up a leaf and then just drops it off somewhere else. It's like we're going through the motions. We don't even know what we're doing anymore. So with that being said, kind of a strange intro to this post, but let's go ahead and get it. So belief is not necessary. It's your persistence in the new story that is vital. Let me get straight to the point. Belief is not necessary. Only repetition of the desired story is required. When I first came across this community, I read many things about you first believe it and feel it, and you will get it. And if you don't believe it, you'll not get it. Now I'm at a point in my understanding that this is absolutely unnecessary because it is simply overcomplicating it. That I used to feel panic that I can't feel my desires or believe in them, and it was a living hell, to be honest. I literally spent 5 years trying to believe and feel when it was not required at all. Let me tell you what is the main point. You simply persist in your desired story in your mind, regardless of feeling or belief. Make it your dominant story, and then you will get it. It is not first you affirm mental diet or whatever technique you use. Technique is not necessary. It's only mental discipline. Then you will believe it and you will see it. This is wrong. It is you persist in your story, then you will see it, then you will believe it. I'm not invalidating belief and feelings. If you get them, that's great. But my point is they are not necessary. Your dominant thoughts manifest. Your feelings are a manifestation of dominant thoughts. Since I started to get disciplined with my mental diet, I feel amazing. I have made way more progress in the last 4 months than I made in 5 years after I understood this. I'll tell you from my success. 1, relatives. If you read my previous posts, you know that I've drastically improved our relative situation to now very loving and caring. This was not the case last year. But I just kept my mental diet absolutely disciplined on this subject, and then the law did its job. The whole thing completely changed. It's like a new parallel reality, and it was really magical to experience this. Do you really think I believed any of my affirmations or felt them? Hell no, but I disciplined my mind, and my reality reflected it exactly how I wanted it to be. 2, my hostel room. I was doubtful and had anxiety, but I kept going in my mind, and then you know who got a single room for the rest of the year? 3, my girlfriend. My previous self-concept was very bad regarding girls liking me. That's why no wonder I was single for 22 years of my life. So in order to check the validity of the law, I simply chose the girl who always made my heart race so fast. Everyone wanted to be in a relationship with her to make her my girlfriend. I wrote a new story in my mind and persisted in it, and surprisingly, the law did its job. Within 3 weeks, I don't remember the exact timeline, we were in a relationship. I asked her why she chose me over other more good-looking and smarter guys. She said, "I don't know. I just felt like you were the one for me." One of my affirmations. Since then, became completely obsessed, like yandere type. I guess no anime from now on, to the point where it became a bit scary. Always calling me, messaging me, even when there were exams due to which both of our grades suffer. So we decided to end things. It was actually me that decided, but it'll be better than both of us, for both of us. And before anyone say I acted like a jerk, I don't care. At this point, we were both students looking for jobs, so that's more important. But once again, it proved to me that repetition is what matters, not belief or feeling. My self-concept was so high recently that one of my mutual friends proposed to me out of nowhere, which I had to politely decline. See, this person's self-concept right now is, you can tell, I mean, this is the type of self-concept of people that get shit in life. A lot of people are, you don't have to be like this, but you have to think like this. You don't have to talk like this, but you have to kind of think like this. To some extent, you really have to believe that you are cut out for all the things that you want, and believe them with an unabashed certainty and almost shamelessness that accompanies the types of people that you may dislike. You might dislike these people that are so braggadocious and have so much bravado. But when you really stare reality in the face, those are the people that actually get what they want in life. So it's one of these tricky things where it's like, okay, if you can't beat them, join them type of thing. At the same time, you don't need to become a bad person or anything, but you need to adopt a kind of ruthless attitude when it comes to what you are deserving of and what it is that you are willing to put up with in your life. So my house story is also like that. So to summarize it all, it's your mental diet that matters only. Feelings and belief will come with time, so don't procrastinate. Just be consistent and disciplined and go conquer the world. Okay. Now, this moderator here makes an interesting point. He says to the newbies, don't get hung up on the titles and words of the OP's ideas of what works and doesn't. Study his success. Try to imagine how he's thinking whenever he succeeded. What's his mental state? And that will help you. Don't argue about belief versus repetition. The masters focus more on practice than theory. Okay. Yeah, I would agree. I don't know why this doesn't have more upvotes, this comment by the moderator, but that's absolutely true. Yeah, repetition becomes belief. Falling asleep believing what you desired, living in the end, is the quickest way to impress the subconscious. Yeah. Okay. So, this goes along with what I said in my recent video. Anytime I've really achieved success, I talk about my success with sales a lot, because that was one of the times where I used the actual practice of robotic affirmations. Particularly, there were other times in my life that I've had success with things that just were kind of crazy and serendipitous how they occurred. But they weren't really they were either with scripting or they were with some visualization or through hypnosis, to be honest with you. But that in particular, I did not become really, really fucking good at sales until I was basically repeating to myself like a madman that I'm a phenomenal salesman. And so this is what I mean is just, if you're the type of person that shies away from talking yourself up or just having this kind of I don't know. In our culture, it's kind of demonized to have this dogged belief in yourself, or this the thing is, I understand why. We don't want everybody walking around with a huge chip on their shoulder and I'm the best and move out of the way for me and all this type of stuff, obviously. But at the same time, a lot of this, a lot of our schooling and, as children, getting a lot of the experiences that we have is kind of like shutting off this a little bit of like healthy ego that we have, that we're born with. And it's very strange, the human, everything is so paradoxical in life. Obviously you don't want to become some sort of malignant narcissist in the way that you deal with people. That's not going to be good either. At the same time, though, if you are always cowering and your natural reaction to things is to kind of step out of the way and not take up too much space, and those things, those things are, there is a story that you're telling yourself. There is an object relation, as we discussed in the last video, a conception of yourself who, if this is the way that you're showing up in the 3D, there is a conception of the self that is kind of cowering in the corner a bit, kind of unsure of themselves, kind of like wanting to go back into hiding and shy away from the world, because the world demands that we don't feel bad about being alive. Like, if we want things in our life, we have to claim them. We have to claim that we're deserving of them. Life is an act of creation. It's not about finding yourself. It's about like creating the person that you are. And you do this through your mental acts. You do this through your imaginal acts. You do this through your self-talk all day. And this is how we are constantly generating this person, this version of ourselves, this object, the internal representation that we see of ourselves in our mind's eye is what we are being constantly drawn to. So you could be the best at even a game like tennis. There's this French tennis player. I forget the name of his name, Pierre something. But this guy, he comes to mind because he's an example of somebody who, on all accounts, was blessed with the talent, the wherewithal, the training to, I think at the top of his career, he was like number 8 in the world or something, one of the world's best players. But if you look at this guy now, he literally, there's something going on in his head. His self-concept of self, that image that he sees in his mind must be, as Maxwell Maltz says, a failure type personality. Because this guy now travels around the world playing these like pickup games with amateur players, and he's getting beat by like college level tennis players now. And it's one of these things that's crazy, because you could have all the talent, all the skill in the world for something, all the aptitude. But if this story that you're telling yourself is that of failure, is that of you are never going to be there good enough, you're never going to be that guy, you're never going to rise to the occasions, you're not meant for this success, or it could be the other way, that, oh, nothing ever goes my way or whatever, you will catch up to that version of yourself that you keep repeating to yourself. You could be the most genetically gifted. This is why this whole debate around like looks and money and status, in terms of like the attractiveness of a man, is just, it's like, this isn't a debate. It's like, of course, all these things play a part, but the guy that has all the looks, all the money, all the status, but is still thinking negative thoughts about himself, is going to put out on some energetic level that conception of himself that he has in his mind's eye is being felt and repelling the women or potential suitors from his orbit. Whereas the guy that is lacking in the looks department, that may not even have any money, but views himself as some sort of demigod in his own mind, is somehow pulling all the tens left and right, and everyone else in the club or the venue is looking at this guy slack-jawed because they don't even understand what's happening. And the reason that this happens is because the power of your thought, the power of that conception of yourself that you have in your mind's eye, it always trumps all the outer indicators, all the outer level layers of success. The jolly fat guy who thinks that he's the man, this comedian Patrice O'Neal, is borderline, he's insulting women all the time, but they love him. Why? Well, and this is a phenomenon that you see a lot of the time. It's not even this occurs actually with friendships as well. The guy that is just, what is charisma? I really think that charisma boils down to, if that object of yourself is this confident, certain person, your outer reflections sync up with it. And you could be saying the most out of pocket, wild stuff, and people are still gonna gravitate you towards you. You could be insulting all of your friends, and they're still like, oh, that's just how John is. That's just the way he is. And it's always rationalized. It's always forgiven after the fact, from somebody who has an unabashed, like I said, certainty and conviction in themselves that they are deserving of the best. And of course, not everyone's going to like you, but and a lot of these personalities, like you can see, that are very polarizing. They get a lot of people that they catch a lot of flack as well. But that's kind of like what a magnet is. It's either repelling something or attracting something. That's like how polarity is. It's like really feminine women are not going to be attracted to a really feminine man, and vice versa. Really feminine men tend to actually be more attracted to masculine women. And the bottom line with all of this is that this idea of persisting in this new story of yourself, and this new conception of yourself, this new image of yourself, is really at the helm of this entire thing. This is why robotic affirmations work. This is why all these practices work. And that's why that is so often said, you don't have to believe it. In my most viewed video on this channel, I tell you guys directly that you don't have to believe it. And this is why, like, some of the greatest minds of all time, when it comes to propaganda or advertising or, essentially brainwashing, some of these people, what was this guy's name? I'm drawing a blank off the top of my head. I discussed this in my most viewed video. You can check it out. But essentially, this guy, he said that it wasn't Edward Bernays. He was like the father of advertising in the US, but it was somebody who came before him. He said, if a lie is repeated often enough, it becomes the truth. And that's what's going on. That's what's going on in our own lives, in our own minds. If we tell ourselves, this is true, this is true, this is true. That's why all these rappers, actors, famous people, you watch their stories about their success with manifesting. What do they all say? What do they all have in common in their interviews? These guys that are wearing, like fake jewelry and stuff. Drake, who's pulling up in the rented, whatever it was. He was renting Lamborghinis and all this stuff. Why? And I write about this in my book too. Ariana Grande, I knew I was always going to be famous. Lady Gaga, the fame is inside of me. Of course, not everybody that says this achieves success. I do think that there is some sort of level of luck involved with some of this stuff. But at the same time, that's actually not going to be a helpful mindset to have. The helpful mindset is going to be that no matter what, I am going to declare this, because if I can see it in my mind's eye, if it's more real in my mind's eye, my 3D self has no choice but to catch up to that. And even if you fall on your face, even if you are somehow not, or it shows up differently, well, that's another thing that's very interesting about this whole thing, is that Carl Jung and a lot of these philosophical kind of masters of thought, and people who have really done deep dives into the human psyche, would argue that that's part of your hero's journey anyways. So even if you don't make become the next Sabrina Carpenter, maybe all of the things along the way will lead you into your greatest purpose anyways. Maybe it's that you end up becoming a streamer, you end up becoming a YouTuber, you end up becoming some sort of, in some other capacity, using your gifts, but it wouldn't have manifested if you hadn't gone for those things anyways, if you hadn't declared in your mind that you are capable of these things. And then again, taken the aligned actions to get there. But the disciplining of thought, people shy away from this term discipline, I notice, in this space, but Neville Goddard uses that word a lot. He always talks about the disciplining of the mind, the disciplining of your thoughts, and the disciplining of your awareness, really. Because that's another thing about a modern day society, is we are constantly getting bombarded with negative messages, negative, basically toxic ideas of what relationships are supposed to be like, negative ideas around money, that it's so hard, negative ideas around health, just really, really, really a mass of negativity coming at us from every which way. And so if we are able to then tell ourselves this story, and so this conversation is going to end right here. The last thing I want to say about this is that whether you are engaged in a practice of affirming, or you are doing your visualization, or you are doing scripting, or any of these things, one of the easiest ways, if you want the easiest hack to doing this, is hypnosis. Dylan James, one of the, he hasn't been posting, I don't think as much lately, but he has all of these affirmation tracks and, claims. And the thing is, it's not even his claim. If you go and watch all of these comments on his videos, you've got so many, like hundreds of people saying, I was able to manifest my thing after watching this for 30 days, whatever. The power of hypnosis cannot be, overstated. Like if you imprint the subconscious mind with something enough, you're going to begin to attract that. I've had success with this personally multiple times in my life. So one of the things I've been working on is creating state activations, essentially hypnosis to put you into these states that Neville Goddard talks about. So if I can craft a hypnotic scene that gets you to visualize yourself winning in any scenario that you go into, or to get yourself to see yourself as a winner, do you think that's going to have an impact on your reflection, on the 3D? If you have this crystallized image of yourself in this 4D conception of yourself that sees yourself as this being sexy, being charismatic, being youthful, being bursting with energy, being adventurous, being confident, do you think that any of these traits are going to somehow find a way to reflect themselves into your 3D life? I'm not going to answer that. What is it that we talk about on all of these videos? Like, what is it that you were affirming? What is it that these people are affirming into this thing? I'm the only one for them. What are they affirming as they tell this story? Repetition is what matters, not belief. I'm the only one for her. That's what this girl ended up telling him. You're the only one for me. That was what he affirmed. So do you not think, therefore, that if we were to go in and essentially go into the subconscious in the state of akin to sleep, and what all these people talk about, it's the same thing. Jose Silva calls it the alpha theta of mind. Neville Goddard calls it the state akin to sleep. Everyone has different words for the same thing, right? We call it hypnosis, a state of trance, when we go to somebody like Tony Robbins. Do you think that by doing this, by conjuring a scene, by seeing yourself as being lucky, as being somebody that is just everywhere you go, you're winning. You're winning all the time. You just take on this identity as somebody who's just lucky. You're the luckiest person that you know. You're the sexiest person that you know. You're the most attractive person that you know. You're the only one for XYZ, whoever your XSP might be. That's the question right there. Is like how much time do we want to expend on trying to almost reinvent the wheel or do anything? It's like we already know what works. We already know that imprinting the subconscious mind, like this person said, the fastest way to do it is to immerse yourself in the feeling, immerse yourself into that state. And what is that way to do it? It's imagining, it's telling the story. Well, what hypnosis hits on all three of these. It hits on sight, sound. It hits on the narrative, the auditory. It's telling you what you're experiencing in real time. It's basically like conjuring a lucid dream for yourself. You're like a guided lucid dream, a guided meditation, guided hypnosis that puts you into that state where you are going to then proceed from that desired state. There is no other option, because this is now how you have conceived of yourself in your mind's eye. You are allowing this to imprint the exact version, the exact archetypal states of consciousness that you want your 3D avatar to show up with, the exact qualities and characteristics. It's like you're going into the video game and choosing the exact set of armor, weaponry, stats that you want your character to have. So it's installing them onto the character. It's installing, basically it's like you bought an upgraded package. You're playing God of War or something, and you bought like all the extra skins and like the weapons, and you got all the most advanced shit. You start the game with it. It's like a cheat code into reality. Instead of having to go through all these things and like try to do this, and I'm trying to manifest, and I'm trying to work on this, I'm trying to do that. Well, let's just download them onto the operating system. Let's just download them so they're sitting on the PlayStation 5. So you don't have to worry about them anymore. You don't even have to go on the quest. You can go on the quest now because you want to. But at the fundamental, you've already experienced it. You've already given it to yourself internally by way of engaging with these hypnotic states of consciousness. I hope that this resonates. I hope this makes sense. And with that being said, guys, let me know what sorts of state activations you would like You can just drop down in the comment, you know, I'm looking to enter into that state of whatever, like I said, being lucky, the state where I'm with my ideal partner right now, the state where I am in a state of just confidence, overall confidence, self-confidence. You know, there's a million of these different states that we could dive into and really begin to install, like I said, on the programming. But that is something that I'm working on, something that I would like to work on. As I said in the previous video, it takes a lot of work. So let me know what you guys want. And with that being said, I will get to it. I will get on it. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video.